It's July 31st, 2024, and the Ford Maverick has addressed its biggest weakness. The Cadillac CT5V Blackwing gets a little more track serious. Pagani goes topless. BYD has its sights set on its next market, and there's bad news for Recaro. This is your auto guide to the news. Okay, so to kick things off, the Ford Maverick Hybrid finally gets all-wheel drive. Yay! It's probably the most requested feature people have had, where before you had to either get good efficiency with the hybrid and front-wheel drive, or get the more capable all-wheel drive but deal with the 2-liter turbo. So Ford is putting the hybrid all-wheel drive available for pretty much every trim. It not only gets better traction, it's going to also increase towing capacity. Other big changes this year is the front end of the Maverick has a slightly different look, new bumper, new grills, updated headlights. The grill's now going to be specific for each model, so it'll be easier to tell the Maverick apart from a distance. There's other trim pieces on the outside and inside that are different. There's some updated colors inside. And the other really big news is the 8-inch infotainment screen has been replaced by, I believe it's a 13.2-inch touchscreen, and there's wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So the Maverick has already been pretty successful, and it's a favorite around here, and I think adding all-wheel drive to the hybrid just makes sense. Yeah, it'll make it maybe a little slower, but places that have 4 full seasons, this just makes complete sense. Moving on, we have the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing that a couple days ago it was announced there's a new precision package which should make the car perform even better at the track. It's more of a hardcore performance. So here's a list of the changes in the precision package. There is a recalibration of the magnetic ride dampers. There's a change to the alignment of the track camber, increased spring and bushing rates, new rear toe links, updated front steering knuckles, a retuned chassis, a retuned electronic limited slip differential, and a carbon ceramic brake package. What all these upgrades basically do, according to Cadillac, is they allow the driver to have a more precise entry when tackling corners, which will then allow them to get on the power earlier and power out of the corners much quicker. It's all great, and I can't wait to try it out, but is anyone with a CT5V Blackwing really taking them to the track? I'm not too sure, but this should also relate to the street when, driving through your favorite twisty back road. Moving on to Pagani and their latest supercar, the Utopia. Surprise, surprise, the brand has made it convertible. Pretty much what they do with every car. Anyway, for those not familiar, the Utopia has a V12 that makes 852 horsepower and 811 pound-feet of torque. And having the top removed means you'll just hear even more of that glorious sound from the engine. I think the most impressive part of the whole transformation, though, is they've kept curb weight basically the exact same as the hardtop. And the Utopia is already quite light. It's 2,822 pounds, which by modern car standards is super light. And then, like I said, it has 850 plus horsepower V12. So yeah, this is probably going to be the one to get. A Utopia is not going to be a track toy. So if you're just out having fun, cruising around, might as well take the top down, enjoy the sun, and hear that glorious V12. Moving on to an interesting story from Reuters. It appears that BYD, a Chinese automobile manufacturer that really specializes in electric vehicles, has its sights set on entering the Canadian market. Now, no timeline has been made, no promises have been made, but what we do know is officials from that company have met with the Canadian government with the intention of selling vehicles in the market. Now, Canada hasn't set any tariffs on Chinese manufacturers importing vehicles made in China yet, whereas America has and a lot of the European countries, and Canada is exploring. But despite that, BYD is still looking to potentially come in, which would be the first full-fledged manufacturer on North American soil. So we'll keep our eye on this and see how it all pans out. I wouldn't expect them to come anytime too soon, but I also wouldn't expect this to happen many years from now. The brands from China are going to eventually come to North America, and this could be the first to achieve that goal. And finally, some sad news coming from Autocar. Recaro, who's easily the best known name when it comes to performance seats in cars, makes aftermarket ones, makes ones for vehicles standard for the factory. Recaro has filed for bankruptcy. They've been approved self-administration by the German court. Now, we don't know any details as to what this means for the company's future, employees, or anything like that. Just means that they need to restructure because they're losing so much money, which is odd because they still have so many contracts with so many OEMs. I just drove a car last week that had Recaros in it, and I've always been a big fan of Recaros, so let's hope they figure this out and the brand continues. I saw someone mention, not a bad idea is maybe an OEM, a big one, should just buy Recaro and they could be their in-house seat manufacturer for everything. Just an idea. Anyway, that wraps up the news for July 31st, 2024. We'll have more later this week, but until then, we'll see you later.